And we are live. What's up, guys? Thank you for tuning in for another awesome Sunday live Q&A. And I'm pretty excited. We got James Tusk on. Me and him have been chatting for quite a while, trying to coordinate this. And alas, the day is finally here. So if you guys are not familiar with James, he primarily specializes in Daygame, which is, quite difficult, especially when you have a British accent and you're like 6'2". So he's able to overcome these hurdles and pull tricks from Daygame. So, James, do you want to give like a quick 30-second to a minute summary for anyone who's not familiar with your channel?
Yeah, for sure. And actually, I just want to comment on what you say, because it's obvious flack that I get, and I understand it. They're like, Tusk, that you're in fucking good shape, you're a good looking dude, you're fucking white, you're educated, you seem okay, like not complete fucking psycho. So it's super easy for you to bang loads of hot girls, right? And I always use the analogy where if you put me in a fucking Victoria's Secret model show, right, and you've got fucking high list celebrities, right, the fact I'm good looking means fuck all. You've got to have, there's so many other strings to this, but it's all relative. Yes, you'll have some girls look at me, if we want to use terminology in terms of numbers, who are maybe a quote unquote 6, so not particularly attractive, that would just jump into bed with me purely on how I look. The girls that I'm striving to date, you need game. You can't just get away with being good looking. It doesn't solve problems. Men are seeing this from the point of view that we see women. We're very visceral. We're attracted to fertility cues, to how she looks, to age. And I think guys that don't really get this shit, they just assume it's the same the other way around. Oh, Tussie's going to bang any woman. I fucking can't. I get rejected a fuckload. And there's a reason my most popular video on YouTube is called Cold Approach is Hard, which is just clips of me getting blown out. So people like to see that, actually, fuck, yeah, okay. Yeah, you can't get away with just having good looks, right? It helps.
Yeah, just to clarify, I don't actually think that. That was just
no, I know you don't, but it's a point to make, because it's something that I get a lot of flack on, and it's something that I try and kind of explain that process to guys. I also know very good-looking guys. I've taught like male models. You look at them, you're like, fuck me. If I had a few fucking tequilas and I was in Thailand and you were wearing a wig, I'd probably bang you. But they're shy, they've got low self-esteem issues, they don't understand social dynamics, and they get blown out like a fucking paper bag. So looks alone, honestly, it helps, but I think people, men especially, they overrate it. They really do. I'm not saying don't max out your looks. You should have your fashion on point. You should look shit hot. You should have a fucking 6-pack. You should look as good as you possibly can. But looks alone will not do shit for you in the long run with women, with dating a high value woman.
I very much agree with what you said. And honestly, like, I probably get it less than you, but I have gotten this before. Like, oh, but you're like so good looking, Alex. For you, it doesn't require any skill. And I was like, well, then why the fuck did I not get laid for the first 19 years of my life?
Man, I completely agree. And for me, it was like standing in the corner of nightclubs, assuming that women saw the world as we see it, which is it's all about looks. And I was like, hey, I'm a good looking guy. Why am I getting laid? I didn't understand things about charisma, power, the fact I have to approach. I didn't, I didn't get any fucking results. I was a fucking clown. I got no action whatsoever up till the age of about, really, I'd slept with like maybe 50 girls, but they were all fucking buffaloes. And I wasn't planning on setting up a mozzarella farm. So that was useless. And then basically I did a Daygame boot camp when I was 27, and I'm 34 now, and learning that process for the last 7 years. I've made up for lost time, but I didn't get any action, man. Not any girls that I wanted anyway. Like, you get a few girls like choosing me, they weren't the girls I wanted. So yeah, we digress.
Oh, well, this is good, because it leads me to the question. So what age did you lose your virginity at?
I was younger, so I was 15. It was that typical like house party thing. A girl liked me. I went and got into bed with her drunk, and I remember probably for the first 10 minutes, I think I was just jabbing her leg, and she had this confused look on her face, and she was like, "Are you
oh, this feels so good, baby."
Yeah, she was like confused look, and I was like, "Oh yeah."
I love that.
Yeah, that was just part of my routine. Yeah, and then slipped it in. I was like, "Oh, okay, sure." I wasn't one of these like guys that you hear that super late losing it. But I still sucked with girls. I mean, it wasn't like floodgates were opening. I was very sporadic. Got into this whole thing like most guys do with any change. It's a low point. We rarely change for pleasure. We change because we're fucking emotionally hurting. There's a pain point. Same reason a guy will actually sign up to a boot camp with me is he's hit an emotional low. There's a trigger point. I got cheated on by a girl I was seeing for 3 or 4 years, and that was like I went into learning game, and it came in with that anger, and so I started just really being a bit of a narcissist, fucking women over. and then realized, like, what am I doing? Why am I taking out this anger on our girls? I should be a win-win. You should be enjoying this process. And for me now, years down the journey. Yeah, sorry, go ahead.
So your personal pain point was that you basically got cheated on, and that's what spurred you to get into game?
Yeah, I was like, right, I'm done with this. I'm done with this feeling of like powerlessness, where I just feel like I have no control over my life in that sense. I'm needy and I'm weak, and I feel like a pussy around women. I was awkward. I grew up with three younger brothers, and I do believe, I've got this theory, talking to people that I know that are good with women, a lot of them tend to have sisters. And I think just being around women at a young age, I think it helps you just get comfortable with girls, because I grew up with three younger brothers, so very male household. I went to a private school in the UK, so that means it's only boys. So really, the only interactions I was having with women were occasional drunk house party when you're like 15, 16. So you're just not spending any time around them. And so for me, it's like the reason I love the concept of Daygame was growing up in the UK. It's a big drinking culture. You go to the pub when you're 15. I was actually like, I remember seeing this guy, Tom Torero, who I did a boot camp with, Daygame guy. And I didn't know what was happening, but I saw him a clip on YouTube of him approaching this beautiful girl, and she's like flicking her hair and like she's into him. I was like, my God, I must learn this. So for me, it was all about facing my fears and accepting the fact I was fucking awkward. I was fucking uncomfortable around women. I still get like that sometimes. I'm human. Like, you know, emotion goes up and down. Some days your social skills suck. There's no like guru status. But yeah, it was facing that fear, facing that raw fear. Most men's biggest fear is fucking stepping up sober, on their own, putting themselves on the line, giving that vulnerability and giving a hot girl a compliment. And I've taught guys in like special forces, and they're literally quivering. And these guys go into fucking heavy machine gun fire in like fucking Iraq, right? And they prefer to do that than fucking go and speak to that hot girl sober. So it's, for me, I love it because it challenges me every day. I never wake up like going like, I really want to go out and talk to some girls and potentially get rejected. But every time you do that, you feel fucking alive, you feel present, you feel good. And I love helping guys as well. So that's kind of how I got into the process of teaching. I grew up, I worked in the corporate world in London. I hit the age of 30. A couple of good friends of mine died. So I was thinking, fuck, okay, life is short. I want to start traveling. I was working part-time for a woman called Kezia Noble, who runs a big data.
Oh, shit, okay. I know her.
Yeah. And then
what do you think about her? What are your honest thoughts?
Well, I mean, I still collaborate with her, so whatever I say has got to be above board. That implies that I don't like her. She's a very successful woman. I actually believe a lot of the advice she gives out is pretty genuine. And I know there's this whole thing of like, why would you trust, you know, if you want to catch a fish, do you ask the fish or do you ask the fisherman, right? And there's this whole concept where women don't really know what they like in men. I think she's very switched on to the point she's able to separate herself back from being a woman and actually give advice that works to men.
I think a woman with a very high level of self-awareness and who's honest can give really good advice. I just think that's only a small percentage of women. But honestly, I'm not too familiar with her. I've seen some of her videos, and the stuff I've seen, again, I have not deep dived into her content. Seems very much on point. Like, it's something that I would say. I would probably phrase it differently, but I don't see her like, you know who I see like pandering a lot and like kind of bullshitting? Also from your part of the world, I think Matthew Hussey, right? Like, I watch his videos, and it's like a lot of it is just telling women what they want to hear. I don't really see her doing that. I don't really see her telling guys what they want to hear.
He's an interesting character, and again, I don't know him, so I don't want to like comment negatively about him. He's actually done super fucking well. He originally started off teaching for a company called a guy called Richard LaRuina, who runs a big company called PUA Training, or he did.
I've heard of him, yeah.
Yeah, he basically he was broke, living in his car, and he moved to the States and was like, fuck it, why am I trying to do this kind of niche pickup thing when there's such an audience of women? So he's obviously switched to teaching women, and man, he's fucking made millions. Very, very successful guy. So fair play to him.
Gotcha. So let's take a quick step back. So you said you were, what age did you really get into learning pickup?
I mean, I guess 27 really. When I did the Daygame bootcamp, that's when I started looking at. I've done the whole stupid thing of like pick up the game, read theories, clog your brain up, don't take action, which actually fucks you over. I was never one that read the game. Like, I picked it up, and for me, it didn't resonate with me. It was too cheesy. It was too American. I didn't like this idea of going up to clubs and asking girls if they fucking floss or brush. I couldn't give a fuck about that shit. I was drawn to Daygame because I wanted to stop drinking and stop going on nights out and just wasting my fucking time. So I love the concept of day game because it was like, oh, you can fit that into your schedule. You know, when you're outside, you can just bang, speak to the cute girl in the coffee shop or two girls in a restaurant, whatever. So yeah, I guess 27 was when I first started approaching. I did the Daygame.com bootcamp, and then I basically went out and approached 30 to 40 girls a week for about 18 months. And I started getting good because of that consistency.
All right, so let's actually, I want to get into something you said. So, you're known for, being very day game focused, right?
Sure.
Nothing wrong with that. I personally enjoy day game as well. But let me ask you this, what draws you to day game? I mean, you mentioned that obviously the lack of drinking. I feel like, online and night game, you could also get away without drinking. I mean, It's a fair point, but what else do you, prefer about day game?
I think it's that I think there's a couple of things. I think it's pushing myself, that fear, you get that butterflies and it's like in the moment. I think the fact that you create a cool experience, you have these crazy experiences and it makes such an impact on a girl. If you look at all these like Hollywood, like kind of rom-com movies, like Notting Hill, the main dude meets the girl in the bookstore, Julia Roberts, or, sliding doors, they walk past each other on the street. It plays into that fantasy women have of like this cool guy coming up, in a coffee shop, she's telling her girlfriends, and we had chemistry, which means you understand how to do this stuff. And you just have these amazing experiences, man. Like I've traveled the world for like 3 or 4 years. Like I've been pretty much my life is set up. So December to March, I'm always in South America, Argentina, Colombia, Brazil, taking guys there. I usually go to Costa Rica in April, then April till September, I go back to Europe for the European summer. So Russia, Ukraine, Serbia, Poland, Finland, taking guys there. And then I go to the US, usually New York Fashion Week, Santa Monica, Austin. And then I go to Thailand and Bali. And I love that lifestyle. I love that traveling lifestyle. So I think just being able to take guys and teach them that process is, for me, I love it. But I
think actually like South America and Eastern Europe are better for day game than America and Western Europe, in my opinion, from what I've sseen.
Okay. Why so? What's the what do you mean? Just because you've got kind of gringo status, because you're foreign?
Not just that. I think that's definitely a factor, but I think that chicks in like in Colombia, they're like they want like they're technologically a little bit advanced. They're not as much on Tinder. They're not as much like, and there's a lot of like, for example, let's take Colombia. There's a lot of chicks in Colombia who are super gorgeous, but they don't go to club, right? They're not the club types of girls. They're just like, they go to university, they go to a coffee shop, and they go home, right? Like that's their day. Maybe like, they're family-oriented type of chicks, or they're not clubbing. So the only way you can really reach those girls is if you day game. And I've just my personal experience, like I've pulled chicks from day game in every country. I've done it here in Miami. I've done it in every place. But I just find that in like Colombia or Eastern Europe, like they're just more like, they're less guarded and they're more open to having like an experience. Because let's be real. Like at the end of the day game is not the social norm, right? Like it's much more socially accepted to go up to a girl at a bar than it is during the day. But I find that in like Eastern European and South American countries, the girls are just more open to that adventure.
Yeah, I mean, I agree with you to a degree. I think you're going to find open women anywhere you go. I think it's just right place, right time. To come back to what you asked before, I think the reason that I fell in love with this was when I realized I could just step off a plane. I can fly anywhere in the world, step off a plane, and within a couple of days be dating some smokingly hot girls, just because I put myself in a place like Kiev where there's a lot of hot women, and I have the balls to go and approach. The threshold for masculinity these days is fucking zero. I mean, the fact that women will say to me, "Oh, you're so brave for coming and talking to me," screams to me fucking the lack of fucking masculinity. We live in a fucking soft society. Men are fucking weak. They're fucking soft. And I love the fact that actually,
I definitely 100% agree with you.
Yeah, and I love the fact that just going up and being able to open my mouth and say hello to a girl puts me in the top 0.0001% of guys in their view just for having some balls. I mean, fuck me. Like part of the thing that I always speak to guys about is just like have a hard the guy thinks he is. I'm sorry, if you can't go and speak to that other human being, however hot she is, that's your fucking issue you've got to work on. It's a matter of self-respect. And for me, it was always waking up every day being like, that's a human being. That's a woman who wants to be talked to by a guy. If I can't do that, that's my issue. I've got to solve that fucking problem. And that drives me every day. If I'm feeling like a bit of a pussy, I just walk out the fucking house. If I'm feeling a bit down, I walk out the house and I just start speaking to people. And if you feel good from being sociable, it puts you in this vibe state. We're built to be sociable fucking creatures. So I think day games is a lifestyle as well. I think the way the world is moving, with obviously not really going back to office culture. Even if you work a corporate job, you're an entrepreneur. People are going to be traveling more and more, and it's important. It's important to work on these skills, these basically social and emotional intelligence skills. I think doing it, being a bit, I do like a drink, as you can see, I'm having a mezcal right now. So, the fact that you can kind of, with day game, learn very fast because you're doing it sober, you're essentially just increasing your social and emotional intelligence levels up to that of a woman, because women have game naturally, right? They've got the future of the fucking human race inside them. If you give them dodgy sperm, they're out the count for 9 months. So they see straight through people's bullshit. And so you have to fucking man up. You have to put yourself in horribly awkward, painful fucking situations sober countless thousands of times. And then you start to become a bit more socially and emotionally intelligent.
Ladies, watch out for that dodgy sperm. Let me ask you this question. Do you do any online or night game, or are you purely day game?
So I supplement. I always say to guys, look, for me, 90% cold approach, 10% do whatever you want. Do strippers, cocaine, do Tinder, whatever. I don't care.
When you say cold approach, do you mean mainly day game, or do you go out to bars and stuff?
Mainly day game. I'm a big fan of bars. So a couple of the guys that influenced me, I'd say the main influences for me were a guy called Tom Torero, a guy called Nick Krauser, who kind of created the, London day game model. And then alongside that, there were two other guys. So a guy who wrote some ebooks called 6 Years of Challenge. Some of the best actual game advice I've ever read. I can send them to you afterwards. They're just small PDFs. One's on opening in clubs. One's on escalation. One's on back at the house. And one's on relationships. And they're no nonsense. They're fucking legendary ebooks. So I really liked his idea of basically just shutting the fuck up, not making jokes, sexual tension, go for it. And there's another dude that I really resonated with called Good Looking Loser.
Yeah, Chris from Good Looking.
Talks about screening, talks about I've always tried to get in touch with him because I really would. I just wanted to send him an email saying thanks, man, for all the content you put out, because he just didn't give a fuck, and he gave so much value. And some of his concepts, like screening, and basically just like this idea of look good and talk to girls, and there's nothing wrong with you, just don't talk to enough girls. I think that stuff is so fucking powerful.
I think his technical game is pretty poor, but yeah, he's got a lot of good messages.
He does, and I agree with you. Like, and that's the criticism I get. Like, sometimes I go out, man. I'm just not on point. Like, I took 3-4 months off day gaming.
Well, I wouldn't say that your technical game is poor. Like, I watched some of your infield videos, and obviously we all have ups and downs. But I would not that would not be like I don't think I would have you on if I thought your technical game was poor.
Making me blush. I think the point I'm trying to make is people get too caught up in gamey stuff, and it's like you don't get fucking extra points for doing a really good game. It's like, did you get the girl into bed?
Yeah, 100% agree.
And that's all I care about. It's from A to B, and people are like, "Oh, Tusk, you should have done that. Why X, Y, Z?" I'm like, "Well, you're sitting on your fucking keyboard. Why?
Dude, 100%.
You're not actually out there doing anything." And it's
Yeah. No, that's a good point. My goal has never been to have the best game. My goal has been to have the sex and dating life that I want.
I agree, man. I agree. And complete social freedom. And for me as well, I do bang on about these other elements. I'm like, look, the few guys that kind of mentor me, I guess the generation above me, they're obsessed with being these pickup artist guys where they have to have sick game because they live in a fucking van with no fucking money. They look like shit, haven't showered in a fucking week. It's like, no, these are all things you can control. Why would you not look fucking shit hot in terms of your fashion? Why wouldn't you have a bit of money, max that out? Why wouldn't you max out your style? Why wouldn't you be learning other languages? Why wouldn't you be living an attractive reality? If you get all that inherent shit on point, you don't need much game. You fucking show up, and you're just not a weirdo. You don't fuck up. You basically don't do anti-game, and it's game on. And I
100% agree with that. Like, that's something I've always taught, is just maximize every area of your life. So there's like there's like the two extremes, right? There's the black pill, red pill guys who think it's all about looks, and either you have it or you don't, right? That's one extreme. And then the other extreme is guys who think like the RSD camp, which is like good game, it's all that matters, looks don't matter at all. Like, who gives a shit about looks?
It's fucking nonsense. It's fucking nonsense.
The truth is obviously somewhere in the middle. Like, you should obviously maximize your looks because they do matter, but you also need to maximize your game. Like you said, I know plenty of guys who are way better looking than me who get almost no pussy just because they can't talk to women, they can't close, they can't seal the deal. I mean, I've seen countless examples. But to kind of change gears a little bit, let me ask you this question. So what do you think are the pros and cons of day game?
Pros would be it's very much you have that freedom to speak to people in any situation, right? So you're going around your everyday life. For me, I always bang about this number of trying to get up to 30 approaches a week, right? I think that's a good amount to be doing to have an acceptance that cold approach, a lot of girls are going to say no, they're going to have a boyfriend, married, whatever, they're not interested, but also be speaking to enough women to develop that skill set. So it's numbers and a skills game. But I like the fact that you can, you know, if you live in a busy city, you can be approaching 3 or 4 girls a day situationally. It's going to be very, very, very time efficient on the way to the gym, at the coffee shop, at lunch. And if you do that every day, you hit maybe 20, 25 approaches a week. That should generate, if you know what you're doing, at least.
Let me just quickly jump in. I would say yes, but with a preamble. And that's only if you make it time efficient, because you can also walk around for 2 hours and not approach anybody. But yes, like because you're basically describing the way I live my life. Like I don't really do very rarely do I do day game sessions. Mostly like I'm going to the gym, I see a cute girl, I chat her up. It takes me 2 minutes, you know. But so if you it can be efficient if you make it efficient to say.
It can be, and I think that's a mistake people make. They think they have to turn into this kind of idea, this kind of pickup monkey guy, charging around the street for 7 hours on a Monday. It's a complete fucking waste of your time. No, it's about time efficiency. And for me, I came from that corporate world. I wanted time efficiency, and because I had lots of other shit I was doing, right? And I was like, right, what's the number? And through trial and error, it was about 20 to 30 approaches a week. And that generated me 2 to 3 new dates a week, which for me is like, that's you're doing that consistently, and it's perfect because I can do other shit in my time. Cons of day game, it has a very high attrition rate because 99% of guys get into it and they can't fucking handle the raw rejection. You can't hide behind beers. You can't hide behind the idea that, oh, it was only a photo of me online, she rejected. It's fucking raw. The rejection sucks. And there's naturally that pain period when you're learning a new skill set where you're going to get fucking blown to fuck out a lot. You're going to get very frustrating experiences. The full process of learning, right? The first stage is unconsciously incompetent. You don't know what you're doing, running around like a headless chicken. Next stage is consciously incompetent. So basically, you know you fucking suck. And that's the stage most men give up because they're like, oh shit, this is actually tough. But if you can push through that stage for maybe 2-3 months and really hit it, conscious competence comes with when you're really focusing on what you're doing. Usually it will come off most of the time. And then after a while, you get to that nirvana state where it's unconsciously competent. So you're just able to do and say the right things because you've assimilated those behaviors and you can just do it on autopilot. You still fuck up. You still try and cut corners. You get lazy or you take time off and you go back a level. But that's kind of the journey with this stuff. I mean, for me, the pros are just fucking, you can travel anywhere in the world and you can just fucking speak to people. It's so powerful. Not only for fucking picking up hot girls, like just but meeting people in bars, having cool experiences, being sociable. It's just basically constantly like it's identity change. It's becoming a very socially extroverted, action-taking version of yourself. So it opens up a lot of doors, man. And most guys' biggest fear is speaking to a hot girl. So once you can conquer that, men are like, oh shit, what else is possible now? Like, cool, what else can I do? And it just expands you. It's like self-development 101, I think.
So here's kind of my take on it. Let me know if you agree or disagree with this. So pros, I would say one, kind of what you say, definitely very much challenges you, puts you outside of your comfort zone. So that's right. 2, you get access to a certain type of girl that you might not under any circumstance. Like there's some chicks who are not on dating apps, who are don't go to clubs. They sometimes go to bars with their friends, but it's going to be a big group. And the only way you're going to, unless you're in their social circle, which you're probably not, the only way you're going to get access to these girls is day game. And a lot of these chicks are going to be more, let's just say, relationship worthy. It's just kind of been my general observation, right?
Right.
That's not to say I've met girls who are relationship worthy from online, from night game, but on average, we're talking about averages here. 3, I would say you're much more likely to find a girl who's by herself because, if you go out at night, most of the time the chicks are with their friends, which, creates an additional challenge. That's not to say, oh my God, she's with her friends, you can't approach. No, like you should. But, it is an additional challenge. With day game, you're more likely to find a girl who's by herself. I think that another advantage is that it's a good way of exploring, right? So like when I go to a new city, like day game allows me to like explore the city. Because I'm going to talk to a girl. We might like go for a walk. She's going to show me shit. I'm going to get to see different areas. So I think it's a really good way of like exploring various spots that you normally, unless like, you make it your focus, you're not going to see. So I think there's that benefit.
Right.
I think I think also the last big benefit is that very few guys are doing it. So you're standing out because a lot of guys are going to slide into her DMs. A lot of guys are going to approach her at a bar, but not that many guys are going to approach her in during the daytime. And it really depends on where you live. Like in Los Angeles, no, like she's going to get approached like crazy during the day as well. But like if you go outside of those cities, like if you go even in like Miami where I live, like a lot of these chicks, like yeah, they get approached a lot of bars, but they haven't really been approached that much during the day. Like
I think it's a way of standing out. You can't. People think it's like a cheat code, but look, she's a hot girl, a hot 21-year-old fucking Instagram girl is going to have a lot of guys messaging her, right? So she's going to have met guys in bars, like social circle, Tinder. Daygame isn't a cheat code to make you like if you don't have the same value as them, it's not going to do anything. But it is a way of standing out from the crowd, and so it does give you that value add because it's unusual. She remembers it, and it's about creating that emotional experience. Because yeah, most women honestly will never be approached by a guy who understands this stuff during the daytime. You can have that connection, and it's an emotional journey for her. She's like, this is fucking amazing. This guy is confident. He's come up to me. He's made me feel a certain way because you're flirting, you're teasing, you're investing her. And she goes away and tells her friends. And women that I've dated are blown away. Just like months later, they still talk about the fact they remember when I first came up to them. Like in this crazy situation, you almost get more kudos for doing like, I've got a coach we call him the Silver Fox. He loves like Latinas, but he loves doing massive group approaches of like, there'll be 10 girls. So just be like, bang, stop all of them and just start bantering with all of them and just take one and walk with her away. And women are absolutely blown away. It's like almost the harder the approach, the more kudos they give you. So that's something to bear in mind as well. As always be looking to challenge yourself with these day approaches. Your bread and butter are going to be 1 or 2 girls, always. But just to push yourself, I like to top and tail the sessions with students with throwing them into a horrible situation. Because after that, approaching one girl doesn't seem like that big a deal.
Right. So let me touch on some of the cons. So here are the cons, I think. One is that girls are usually doing shit. So you're going to get a lot of time constraints. And if you're a beginner, that's going to be hard to navigate. So meaning a girl might actually be interested in you, but
right.
She has like 30 seconds because she's late to a meeting, right? And you're not priority. So there's going to be a lot of time constraints, which again, if you're a beginner, are really tricky to navigate because you might not pick up on that. Like me at this point, I can tell like within 5 seconds if the girl has to run or she's maybe not that attracted to me. And if she has to run, I'm going to speed things up a lot. And I'm actually preempt that concern. I'm going to be like, oh, sorry, I can't talk for too, like, you seem really cute. I just can't talk for too long because I have a meeting. Like she's like, oh, fuck, like he's the one that can't talk to me because she was just about to. I'll be like, but listen, like you live around here, right? Yeah, I do. I'm like, cool. I live down there. Let's grab a drink sometime when we're both not busy. When I'm not busy, right? Like he's like, okay, yeah, sounds good. I'm like, cool. Let me get your WhatsApp. But anyway, so that's one I think disadvantage. Another disadvantage is that during the daytime you're going to stumble upon a lot more girls who have boyfriends, right? Like online, like the girls are going to be single, right? That's why she's swiping. At nighttime, if she's out and about, like there's a pretty good chance she's single. Like there's obviously some chicks at bars will have boyfriends, but it's less likely. During the daytime, like, it's more likely to happen. Again, not the end of the world. Like, a chick says,
that's a good point, though. It's actually a good point, Alex. I hadn't thought of it. I've never actually thought of it that way, but it's a valid point. Yeah, you are going to get more girls. I guess then it's that whole thing of, right, you've got to be better than the competition, right? And so if you're high value than boyfriends, like, there's a chance it still goes down. But yeah, it adds an extra layer of complexity.
It can happen. I mean, a lot of that will come down to, honestly, the girl and how content she's in the relationship. So, for example, if that guy, maybe he cheated on her a few weeks ago, then you're going to be in the clear, right? Like she might want to fuck you just to get back at him if you have, decent game and sexual market value. So a lot of that is just might be even outside your control.
That was one of the, I think, on that point, that was one of the people always ask me what was a kind of weirdest experience you've had with this stuff. And one of the funniest was I was sitting in a bar in Colombia in Bogota. And I walked into this bar. It kind of looks like where I'm sitting now. It was like quite a cool bar, dim lighting. I was just sitting there drinking a beer. It was like a Sunday afternoon. The guy next to me, I was chatting to him. He was an American dude who came in the bar a lot. And there's a fucking hot waitress serving, right? And there's another dude. And they had this strange energy between them. They were kind of arguing a bit. There's a bit of fucking thing. And I spoke to the guy. I was like, hey, man, what was the, what's going on here? Like, he's like, yeah, they're together, but they always like have these crazy fucking rows. And He ends up 5 minutes later. He ends up storming out the bar. He grabs his coat. He's like, "Fuck this," and walks out in Spanish. And I was like, well, I thought the girl was cute. Then she came over. She like walked towards me. She'd been giving me eyes like a little bit for the 20 minutes or so I was in there, just kind of maybe testing here, maybe just she found me attractive. And I went, "Look, I know you probably whatever, but I just I'm leaving today. I don't give a shit. I just think you're fucking smoking hot." She goes, "What are you going to do about it?" Meet me upstairs in the bathroom in 2 minutes in her own bar. And I didn't expect anything to happen, but I walked up to the bathroom. She comes up, banged her straight in the bathroom. Nothing more said. She goes back down behind the bar. 5 minutes later, the boyfriend comes back in. He never knows. Like, it's a crazy fucking thing. And the shit you see with Daygame.
What city was this in? Where were you?
This was Bogota.
Bogota,
Colombia.
Okay.
Yeah. Crazy.
I've been there.
I wouldn't say start. Yeah, don't have people flying to Bogota. I think that's going to happen as a normal thing. I mean, it was completely random, but yeah, you hear that it's these experiences where you're just like, "Fuck me, that's so random." But again, I guess that awareness to be like always switched on to be like, "Oh well, fuck it, let's go for it." Women cheat. I'm not nihilistic. I think it's very easy to go down that route of like reading the rational male, which I've got a lot of time for. But it's very easy to get nihilistic and start reading all this red pill theory and not taking action, starting to hate women. I'm not about that at all. I'm a realist, and I'm very aware from hooking up with lots of girls who've had boyfriends that women cheat a lot. You're never going to hear about it if you're the guy in the relationship with them, but they do cheat a lot. I think it's human nature. It's hypergamy. It's nothing to start getting like fretting about. It's just part of the game. And yeah, it's better to be the player than get played, in my opinion, as much as you can.
Yeah, I mean, I think you can be aware without being a victim. I think that's the big problem with the red pill.
I agree.
A lot of these guys, they make like, "Oh, I'm a man. I'm at such a disadvantage," right? Like, get the fuck out of here. Like, like, yes, there are some things in the West where, like, divorce courts are a little bit favorable towards women. And, like if you work a corporate career, like, yeah, you can get like, you just make a joke in the elevator and then you get fired because of that. Like, no one's denying that. It's important to be aware of that. And what some women do cheat, like it happens. But like when you become a victim, that's when you like just
I think you bring it on yourself as well. I think if you're with a girl and you genuinely like the girl and you've screened her for things like she's not a crazy high drama chick with low self-esteem, she's a normal, decent human being. Yeah, she might get put in a situation where she fucks up. Like, look, let's be honest. If she's, most women, I don't care how loyal they are, if you put them outside the fucking weekend's dressing room and the weekend goes, "Come and do some cocaine," and I'm going to try and bang you, a lot of women will not say no to that. It's just,
I don't know.
When you have that level of power, I don't know.
I think no, I don't know. I think some chicks I think there's some chicks, as long as you meet their needs, like as long as they're sexually and emotionally satisfied, they won't cheat. Like if they're, unless there's really there's, in my opinion, we're going very off topic, but I think
this is good though, because this is an important point. It's good to have a couple of different kind of variations on this opinion, because this will give
here's why I think guys get cheated on. I think it comes down to several reasons. One, they picked the wrong kind of girl, a chick.
I agree with that straight
up. Low self-esteem, and that guy did everything right. She still would cheat. Doesn't matter who she's with. She's with me. She's with fucking the president of the U.S. She's with Leonardo DiCaprio. She will still cheat because that's just her nature. Like that's how she gets validation. She self-sabotages. She has emotional work that she needs to do. And that's a healthy amount of women nowadays, and that's also a healthy amount of men nowadays. But anyway, so that's reason number one. Reason number two, her emotional needs were not being met. So, or her sexual needs. So there's something, like she might be a good kind of chick, but there's something that you're not able to give her. Like usually it's emotional things. Like maybe she craves intimacy and you're not capable of being intimate. Maybe she craves being dominated sexually and you're like super vanilla, right? And I think the third reason is resentment. There's, for some reason, resentment on her part in the relationship, and she's cheating subconsciously as a way of getting back at you. So I think that if you pick the right kind of girl, like, and again, that's a whole thing we get into. The right kind of girl, you make sure her needs are met, and you communicate well, and make sure there's no resentment in the relationship. Like, you actually probably won't get cheated on. Like, to be honest, like that's kind of been my take on it.
I agree. I think it stems from. I had a situation where I was ticking all those boxes, and there was a very, very high status. I'll leave out the names of people, but there's a very high status guy that came along, and I think she was just in the moment. Women are very emotional. She was horny. She was at this gig. He's the fucking guy on stage, and he picks her out of the crowd of 50,000 screaming women. He's like, "Come for a drink with me." And it wasn't a personal thing. It was just very much just caught up in the ether of it. And then later, yeah, she regrets it. But right time, right place. I'm not saying all women will do it. Some women are very loyal and they have their principles in place. But I do believe, and from my experience as well, of like having hooked up with girls with boyfriends, it was just right place, right time. And there wasn't inherently anything wrong with the boyfriend, because what I often do is I'll kind of play a question game with them. I love playing this question game on dates where we just basically go back and forth. It's just a great way to kind of ask some cool shit, like, you know, scariest experience, most embarrassing experience, happy experience, all this stuff. But I often do when I sleep with a girl and we're both quite vulnerable and open, I'll be like, okay, and then ask her a few questions, and especially interested if it's a girl with a boyfriend and I knew that, as to why she fucked me. And often it's like, well, I just thought you were hot. And I'm like, well, so how's it going with the boyfriend? And she's like, no, I really love him. Like, but you know, I liked you. And so there is that dualistic nature. Again, we're getting back into that kind of rational pill stuff. But there is the dualistic nature of women, right? It's the kind of emotional beta provider guy. And then that kind of alpha sperm guy where they're like, fuck it, I'll take that one opportunity to get that sperm. And it's bizarre because we live in a world of obviously condoms and there's no baby being produced of it, but we're still driven by those, those needs. So yeah, I agree with you to a large degree. When you're fulfilling all those needs, she shouldn't cheat on you. But I do believe there's a right place, right time, and that it can happen. It can happen. It can happen. But yeah, you're right in the sense that guys are too concerned about it. I think forget what the girl's up to. Think about what you like in women. Screen for the things you like. Obviously, don't date low self-esteem, high drama women. I mean, that'd be the number one thing. And then from that onwards, you know, if she fucks up, fuck it. If you're a high-value guy and like yourself, you're smashing the Tinder, the bar game, the day game, you don't need to worry because there's so many other options out there, so many better options out there, and we don't need to settle in life. We should always be.
The analogy I would give is like, let's say you're getting ready to start a business and you have a business partner. And let's say it's someone you know well, you know, they seem trustworthy. Is there potential your business partner will steal from you? Yes. But like, how weird would it be if like the whole time you're in business, all you're doing is worrying about him stealing from you? Like you're not thinking about making money.
I agree with you.
Customers are just like, oh, what if he steals from me? So that would be.
I agree with you completely, and I'm a big fan of that kind of stoic mentality of control what you can control. And don't worry about the rest. Shit is going to happen in life, but there's no point using that anxious fucking time and stress when you could be applying that to making yourself better and making your own experience of this reality we live better. Fuck everything else. Control the controllables. Forget the rest.
I mean, honestly, my personal experience has been when I've hooked up with girls who have boyfriends or husbands is that most of the time there was a need that their significant other wasn't meeting. To give an example, I like to tell this story. So I hooked up with this, former model lady. She was a little bit old. She's like 40, but like so.
You love your older women. I remember when we had the chat the other way around. You were like, yeah, I kind of said there. I said it 18 to coffin dodging. Like it's fine. Like I'll take the grill.
It was a phase I went through for a while. Not so much anymore, but it was a phase. But anyway, so she was like a hot 40-year-old MILF, and she rolled up to my place. I think in a Rolls Royce or Lamborghini, like a really fancy car. I'm like, okay, wow. Get inside. And after we hook up, I also like to play the question game, right? Like I could tell I knew something. I was like, are you married? She's like, yeah, I am. I was like, oh, like I was just trying to like find out about her husband. I was just imagining some loser. And she starts describing him, and he just sounds like the coolest guy ever. She's like, yeah, he's this multi-billionaire. He has multi-millionaire, not billionaire. He has, all these businesses. He works a lot. But he likes to have fun too. And I was like, okay, this guy's probably ugly as fuck. I'm like, can I see a picture of him? She shows me. I'm like, damn, this guy's like a fucking jacked and shit. I'm like this guy sounds cooler than me, to be honest. Like, I was like,
what was the need, Alex?
This is what I'm getting to. So I was like, so what's honestly, like, let me ask you this, like, why are you here? Like, this guy sounds pretty cool. She's like, yeah, but he makes me follow this weird diet, and then I have to piss on him. I was like, what? So basically what happened was he didn't fuck her. He made her follow this like really strict diet, and then he had her piss on him. And that was their sex life. There was no sex.
Fucking shitting.
There was just her pissing on him. And apparently
Japanese fucking
if she broke the diet, he could tell by the taste of the piss. So she was like, she was like, she's like, yeah, sometimes when he's out of town, I have a little bit of this, and hopefully it's out of my system, so he can't tell. So, like, clearly, like, her sexual needs were not being met at all, which is the reason she was there. So,
I mean, that's a fucking fantastic story. bizarre, man. Yeah, people have these weird kinks, right? Everyone's got their thing, but fuck.
Yeah, but let me get back to kind of what we were talking about, the pros and cons of day game. I think that another con of day game is that I think there's two more cons left on the list. I think one is that if you have total lack of social intuition, it might be the most challenging form of game because, like, don't get me wrong. Like, if you have even decent social intuition and social awareness, you can make day game totally normal, not weird. Like, it's not weird when I go up to a girl at a coffee shop because I can make it not weird and I can calibrate. I can calibrate to the fact that there might be people looking at us. I can calibrate to her reaction. Like, if I sense she's uncomfortable, I can change my approach. I can change my body language. I do think that if you don't have that level of awareness, and that's not to say you shouldn't do it, you should do it, and you should try to learn it and push yourself outside your comfort zone. But you might have a hard time getting results from day game because you do need to have that level of social awareness because it is, compared to Tinder and talking to girls at bars, it is the one that's the least socially accepted, to say the least.
Yeah, I agree with you. I think it's a bit of a chicken and the egg in the sense that I completely get what you're saying, and most beginner guys are very uncalibrated. But I think the only way to get better is throw yourself into that fire and fucking do that stuff. So it's a trade-off, right? Because if the guy's a fucking clown, he's not quite there, she's going to turn up on a Tinder date and see straight through him anyway. And he's probably going to be drinking, so he's not going to learn that much. And same with nightclub game if he's drinking. So still, he has to just, obviously go to a coach who can then identify the problems, and then he can start to work on those problems. But I agree with you. I know some guys who are fucking weirdos, and they charge around the street, semi-religiously, and they get like fucking one number a month. It's like, man, come on, you've got to go and fucking sort out some fundamental shit there. Like, it's not cool. Like, yeah. Again, refusal to get help, refusal to get coaching. There's a stigma in the industry with getting coaching because we live in a world of fucking charlatans, mate, and fake gurus, and I get that. And I always say to people when they're looking for a coach, and I deliberately put these things into my channel, the three things that I say to guys, like, you don't have to get coaching with me. Obviously, if you want Tinder coaching, go to Alex. If you want high-game coaching, go to some other dude. But proof of the guy actually doing it. So proof of me charging around, and you can see what's happening. That's the first thing. Second thing is, proof of me actually coaching guys. So you can see what I'm doing. So it's not bullshit. I'm actually coaching them. They're getting better. And the third thing is client testimonials. Genuinely, like a guy sitting there going, "You helped me. That was good." I always say to guys, if any of those three are missing, if it was me, alarm bells are ringing, because it is an unregulated industry, and people.
There's zero regulation of any kind.
No, and people,
I can say on my sales page, when you buy the product, you will have a threesome within 6 hours of purchase without doing any work, and I will not get in any trouble. Like, there's zero regulation.
There's zero regulation. I think the industry is based on reputation, and word of mouth goes a long way. And I think if you keep yourself squeaky clean in the sense that you're living this lifestyle and you're helping guys and you are in there for best intentions and you're actually producing results, then there's a lot of value to be given. There's a lot of impact to be made. Most of the big names, I'm not naming people. Everyone's got their own hustle, but most of the kind of quote unquote big names that people talk about that I've met, I'm just like, this guy's full of shit straight away. I just say, like, my test for a guy is, can I sit down, have a fucking beer with him, and he's not weird? And most men I meet in this industry that are coaches fail that fucking test. They're trying to game me. They're trying to neg me. It's like, shut the fuck up. Just do a fucking shot with me and just fucking let's have a chat like fucking normal people. So, I deliberately don't consider myself a PUA. I don't like to be associated with the industry. I like to travel, I like to help men and give value, and that's it. I'm not a fucking, I guess if you classify me as anything, I guess it'd be a dating coach with a focus on day game. But I'm only human as well, and I do get rejected a lot. I get rejected more than most people I know, but I also get laid more than most people I know because I fucking take action. I ran over. I don't know where I'm going with. The mezcal's obviously kicking in. I'm going on a fucking one.
I mean, I think that part of having good game is ability to take rejection. That's a key part of good game.
Deal with rejection, learn from it, and carry on, and
not let it get you down.
Yeah, I mean, it's life, man. We get rejected.
Some of the best guys, they don't almost even see that they get rejected. Like some naturals who I know, who I learned from. One guy in specific, I won't say his name because he's private, but this guy who I learned a lot from, he was one of my best friends growing up. When he got rejected, in his mind, he didn't even get rejected. Like, he didn't even see the rejection almost. He had like that level of healthy, I don't know, narcissism or delusional, whatever. So he never was like, oh, fuck. this shit sucks. Like, that never even entered his mind because in his mind, he never even got rejected. In his mind, oh shit, I didn't really like that girl that much, so conversation didn't work out. Like I think that's what his internal mindset was.
Do you think that would stifle his progress though? Because then he's not actually taking any kind of, it's his perspective, right? It's kind of like, okay, just that didn't work, it was her fault. But then is he actually consciously thinking, right, did I do something wrong? Could I have adjusted something?
So I think there's pros and cons to that approach. I think the one big con that he had was that I personally noticed is that a lot of it for him was almost like he was doing it for validation. And not even to validate to other people, but to himself. Like in his mind, he had the best game ever, and he wanted validation of that. And really, I think, for him, a big thing that happened was I think he had so much potential, but he wound up getting married way too early.
Right.
And again, I think it was just a lot of it. It was a lack of honest self-awareness. Like this guy, I know him really well. I know right now he would love to go out and pick up tricks, but he never had that high level of self-awareness, which I think a lot of naturals don't. Like a lot of naturals have.
Oh no, they have no idea. They have no idea because they've had a series of very good experiences when they're young. Maybe they're the good.
So they never have to become introspective and develop that self-awareness. So again, pros and cons. I always say that I don't think you can really learn from a natural per se. I don't think a pure natural would be a good coach unless they also have a high level of self-awareness. Simply because
I agree, man. I completely agree. I don't know anyone that's natural that's a good coach.
Yeah,
no one. Not a single fucking person.
No, I mean it's hard. They need that level of self-awareness, which they usually don't get because they don't need to.
They don't need to. No, I agree. I think the best coach are the guys that are actually kind of living the lifestyle and that are also able to teach. And I know guys that are absolute players. They get laid like rock stars, but they fucking can't teach this shit for shit. Also know guys that basically sit there reading all the theory and they're okay coaches, but they're not actually living the lifestyle. So, you want to find a coach who's doing both, right? Like yourself, you're smashing it, you're doing well, you're living this lifestyle. And you're clearly an intelligent guy, and you're able to assimilate that information, pass it on. So, 100%.
I think there's two components. There's the skill. So you want a guy, whatever area. Like if I'm trying to learn marketing, I want a guy who has a high level of skill and success in marketing. Right? I don't want a guy who just started learning some things online. Like if I want advice for fitness, I want the guy who's jacked. I don't want the guy who
absolutely, man. Absolutely.
Tutorials. The guy has to be way more jacked than me. So just if I'm trying to learn pickup, I want the guy who has a way better sex life than me. I don't want him to be know some theory. So skill. But the second component, which as you said is important, is ability to communicate that and teach. Which again, there's a lot of guys who really crush it with women, but they can't really explain it or teach it. So I think those are two components.
I agree. And guys are different learners, right? Some guys are more auditory. Some guys are different visual. Some guys respond to being fucking kicked up the arse where I'm like, you fucking pussy, go and literally kick them into an approach. Some guys need that kind of softly, oh, it's okay, we'll do the next one. So you have to calibrate to that individual, and that requires a development of your own emotional intelligence as well to get to that point.
Yeah, but I want to get back to this. So what do you think, let's kind of, before we take questions, let's really hash this out. What do you think are the keys to being successful at Daygame? From your experience, let's say you got a new client and he's like, yo, I want you to explain Daygame to me in a few minutes. What are the keys, do you think?
Honestly, the first thing, if you're doing that kind of Pareto principle thing of what's going to generate the maximum results, it's just open your mouth enough to women and get to that point. I'd say to guys, can we just aim for one approach a day? Do that for 7 to 10 days, right? Can we do 2 approaches a day? Do that for 7 to 10 days. 3 approaches a day, 7 to 10 days, and build it up like that. It's just speaking to enough women each week. I think the good-looking Chris from Good Looking Loser, he said it right when he his article was there's nothing fucking wrong with you. Just don't open your mouth to enough attractive women. So if you have your shit,
volume basically, right?
Say again.
Getting the volume in, right?
Getting the volume in is the first thing. I don't even bother with fucking anything. I'm like, right, I teach them how to stop and basically just be I'll say to them, just be playful, have banter. And if they're a really logical, engineer guy, I have to kind of explain, give them some structure, basically teach them the London Daygame model, which is open, stack on the girl, be teasy, be playful, wait for that hook point when she asks a question, cross her legs, dial down into investment. I'll teach them that model. But really, I just want to get them opening their mouths to 30 women a week. Until they're doing that, there's no point worrying about any fucking theory, anything else. there's four things to learn, I guess, with this. There's the day game, so getting good, talking to girls in any situation. There's the texting, which is quite simple, because unless you're doing really weird shit like sending a fucking dick pic or just being overly needy, the girl, if you did the approach correctly, will come out. You're obviously going to get flakes, and the flake rates we can go into after this, what I consider good stats to be. But the third stage is the dating stuff. So this is an area I really sucked at. I got good at being that 10-minute kind of guy on the street with these party moves, but I was going on dates, and all I was doing is day game. I wasn't building my life as a man, so I had no inherent value. When girls were asking me, what do you do in your spare time? I was having to make up fucking activities, and that's why I knew like I needed to balance stuff and work on other things. But the dating process itself is incredibly rewarding and also frustrating, because you're going on dates with really hot women. I remember this one time I stopped a finished model in London, really smokingly hot, like tall girl, blonde hair, blue eyes, just unbelievably good looking. And I took her for a drink in a bar, and we were talking, and this is when I got good at the day game, but didn't really understand the date stuff, right? So didn't understand how to verbally escalate, physically escalate. And about 2 hours into the date, she put her hand on my knee and turned to me and went, James, I feel like I've known you for like 20 years. You feel like such a good friend of mine. And on the date, I'm thinking, oh, this is really good. Then obviously, like, I tried to kiss her. She was like, oh, what are you doing? So I was like, fuck, I'm fucking clueless with the dating side of it. So get going at the dating side of it is the next stage. And then learning to kind of, I guess, relationship management. Do you want to be banging, 3 bisexual girls who are also bringing girls back home? Do you want to have a fucking 6-plate rotation in different cities? Do you want to have a really hot girlfriend? It's about figuring that stage out. So, but the main thing is the approaching, right? I have a program called the Approach Accelerator, which basically gets guys up to doing 30 approaches a week over 10 weeks, focusing on the body language, how you say stuff, the voice quality, and then also what to say, the structure. And by the end of the 10 weeks, they're able to approach, between 20, 30 girls a week. It's only going to take them 5 or 6 hours, so super time efficient. I have a focus on working with guys in the corporate sphere. And that's going to generate them 2 to 3 new dates a week with hot women, which is what most guys want. They think they want this player lifestyle when you go on their bed every night. They don't. They want an emotional connection with some fucking hot girls, high value women.
Let's focus on the technical aspects of the day game approach, right? Like,
sure.
What do you think are some mistakes that guys are commonly making when it comes to the day game approach?
Well, first mistake is not approaching, like just pushing out. Probably main thing, speaking too fast, not sticking to the process. So there is a model, right? The London day game model, which I learned from these guys, Nick Krauser, Torero, a guy called Yad. It is.
Can you kind of elaborate on them all for anyone who's not familiar with it?
Absolutely. So it's based on them going out and basically approaching thousands of women and seeing what works and amalgamating it into a process. So the process is essentially you go up, you give a direct compliment, and you talk about either her, where she looks like she's from. So I noticed the blonde hair, blue eyes, and the terrible leather jacket. You must be from Sweden. She goes, oh, I'm from Finland. And then you basically riff on that topic, banter, playful stuff. It's staying to a structure, or you can go down the route of what she does for a job or fashion. You're basically carrying the conversation. Your energy is playful, teasy, fun, flirty. She's going to hook into that vibe, that energy. At some stage, she may walk away at any stage, but if she stays in there, at some stage she'll ask you a question. And that's the point where the alarm bell should be going off, going, right, she's attracted. It's kind of like mystery method, I guess. She's attracted now, right. So she asks a question or she crosses her legs, that's when she's hooked. And then we'd say, right, dial down the conversation. So just normal back and forth, boring conversation. How long are you in London for? What do you like to do in your spare time? She's also going to be investing in that conversation because she wants to be there. One of the biggest mistakes I see guys make is they go in, they think day gamers just go up and give a compliment and then start talking at someone randomly and see what sticks. It's not. Going into that boring rapport, it just kills it straight away. So, and they machine gun questions at the girl. They're like, how long are you here for? What are you doing? They're not even waiting for their return, for her to reply. They're just like fucking nervous and they're firing shit at the girl.
Yeah, you got to slow it down. Yeah.
Slow it down and stay on topic. And it's about active listening, right? You never run out of things to say if you listen to what she says and then take that information and talk about it and then ask a question. It's like an endless conversation loop. You never run out of things to say. But active listening is so key. Having coming from a sales background, talking to quite high value guys on the phone, trying to sell them stuff, active listening was so key. Not just listening to the words they're saying and using those words in conversation, but listening to the way she's saying those words. But honestly, I think most guys, day game is not rocket science to pick up. you have to have those fundamentals there, like not look like shit, like have your shit together in other areas. But really, it is just go and speak to women, and you start to figure it out quite quick. The learning curve is super fast. Obviously, if you're trying to wing it and teach yourself off YouTube videos, that's a more elongated process. But if you go to a coach, he gives you a step-by-step plan to follow. He pushes you into it. He gives you that much-needed accountability to work on when you're not with him. Holding you accountable on WhatsApp. You can fucking do a lot of damage within 2 or 3 months learning Daygame. And you can be doing shit you would never have thought possible. Like, never. I remember when I was getting into this, and I was lining up like 9 dates on Sunday. Sunday was like my date day. And the problem is I like to drink, right? So the first day would be like the hot girl. I'd have like 1 gin and tonic. And then by the fucking 7th day, I'd just be like falling all over the fucking place. But luckily, I'd line up the less hot girls for then. So I'd be like, right, I'll try and drink about it. But yeah, you could, man, it's just crazy. The journey with this stuff is crazy. And guys like the pain. Some guys say this like me. They like to challenge themselves. They like the pain, and it's all part of the process. Because you fail a lot more than you succeed with this stuff.
Yeah. Let me break down kind of my Daygame approach, and we can kind of riff off that. So this is kind of generally my strategy for Daygame. This is what I personally do. So first of all, Daygame starts, in my opinion, before you even leave the house. So look good, like try to look good to the best ability. Now you don't have to go crazy with it, but you don't want to be sloppy, right? Like, because you're going to create.
I agree.
You're going to create a hurdle for yourself before it even begins. The second component of doing Daygame is, in my opinion, is when you're walking around, actually don't be on your phone. Like, pay attention to what's going on. So if you can do a warm approach, which is a girl who's looking at you, those are going to have way higher success rate. And this is something that I've been practicing a lot when I go out, is like just being in the moment and just looking for IOIs that girls are giving me. Now, of course,
and we touched about this on the last video as well, where you were like, I think you related it to the Tinder thing of like starting conversations with girls that have already liked you. But I completely agree. One of the big mistakes guys make is they just, if you look good, if you've got your shit on point, if you're out with a wing and you're having banter, so many girls are checking you out. And the easiest approach is the girl that checks you out, right? Because it's not a cold approach, it's a warm approach. So it's like so many guys shoot themselves in the foot, not even paying attention. It should be eyes up, should be scanning around, just seeing what's up, And there's so many opportunities if you're a relatively good-looking guy, or you're just dressed well, or you've got a good vibe to you that you're going to see, and then, hopefully capitalize it.
Yeah. So for the actual approach, so this is, if I can, I will go somewhat indirect. So, but I don't always have a way to do it. Most of the time, like, let's say I'm at a grocery store, right? And I see a hot chick, and she's like she's about to, she's looking for shit. Like an indirect approach I might have would be like, ooh, don't get that. She's like, really? Why is it that bad? I'm like, yeah, it's terrible. She's like, really? I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. And then I'll transition, right? So if I can, with Daygame, I will go somewhat indirect. Right. Like whatever, let's say I'm at Starbucks and there's a chick, I'm with my dog and there's a chick sitting, and I'll be like, oh, I think my dog likes you. He keeps pulling me over here, right? But the key with this is, I think, like, if you're a beginner, you should not do this because you can get too easily stuck in the platonic. The key is that I can transition it and show my intent pretty quickly afterwards. However,
you're more experienced. You can go kind of that indirect, direct route. I agree with you. I think beginners, for me, though, they need that kind of like, because they've been basically pushing around with women their entire lives, they need that baptism of fire where they go in and they expressively say, you look good, you look good, you look good. And they need that. They need that to man themselves up.
Yeah.
But I agree with you, like later down the line.
100%. So I think that's the end goal for advanced guys. But yeah, I do think beginner intermediates, like, and I'll still do this all the time, it's like something very simple, like, hey, this is really random, but I thought you were really cute and I want to meet you real quick.
That's a good one.
Simple.
Yeah. Or just hi. Sometimes now I'm just going up and saying, hi, I don't like Tinder. Nice to meet you. And just stand there like zero fucks given. And she's like, oh, cool. And then you can just tell from her reaction straight away whether she's up for a conversation or.
Sure. I do think that it's important. I think that works for you because you're able to show your intent with eye contact and body language. And you probably have like a cheeky smile when you say this. I do think, though, for beginners and intermediates, like with Daygame, the chick doesn't know if you're trying to sell her something. She doesn't know if you're going to hit her up for money. She doesn't know why. And I think that, yes, advanced guys, we can go like, indirect, we can fuck around with it, and it's clear why we're there. But for beginner, like, they might not be able to just communicate that, and then they get blown out because the chick is like, is this guy going to like try to sell me something? So I do think that if you're at that level, it is important to be more direct with your intent. Like, you basically are saying like, hey, this is why I'm here. Now, you don't have to keep hammering on it. Like, you say it and then you move on. So that's typically something I'll do. Like, even all the time. Like, sometimes I can't think of a good situation opener. So I'll be like, hey, this is really random. I was just about to get coffee. And honestly, I thought you were really cute and I want to meet you real quick before I go. I'm Alex, right?
That's great, and I think for beginner guys as well, it's good to open direct, and then if the conversation, which inevitably does with beginners, gets a bit wishy-washy and platonic, I think it's important to close strong as well. So maybe reinstate your intention, saying, "You seem like a cool girl. I'd like to get to know you better. Obviously, you're not too bad looking either. Right? Let's grab a drink another time." So she knows what's up. Because sometimes in the early days, beginners, when they're going in direct, the girl doesn't know what's up, right? She actually doesn't.
So I think kind of on the opening, here's the mistakes I see guys making in this, this film. One is they're being too gamey, too weird. I see, like, don't do fancy openers. For the love of God, do not do fancy openers. Like, I see guys doing these fancy openers, like overly gamey shit, and the girl just gets weirded out. Like, just keep things as simple as possible. Only add complexity if necessary. So that's the big mistake. Don't do like the shit like, oh, who lies more, men or what? Like, for the love of God, don't girls know why you're talking to them, and they find it weird. And much prefer a guy who could just be straight up and honest. Second mistake I see is poor body language. So let's say a girl is sitting down. If a girl is sitting down, you don't want to be standing over her. Like, you got to sit down within the first 10, 20 seconds. And it sounds like something that's like not that important, but it actually is. It can be a huge game changer, whether you actually sit down or you're standing over her. Also with body language, right? Like, you have to get the body language on point. So square up with the girl. Don't be like sideways where it's very easy for her to be like, cool, well, it was nice to meet you, and walk away. Like, actually, obviously don't like get right in her face, but like, you guys square up. So I think body language and eye contact are much more important than what you actually say.
Completely agree. I mean, if you just sorry to interrupt, Alex, but if you look at that emotional kind of communication study, which has been taken a bit out of context, but let's just assume it's like relatively legit. That pie chart, right? 55% body language, so polarizing masculine body language. That's the impact, right? 38% is voice quality, which means how you say stuff. You can have a guy. I taught a student recently in Playa del Carmen. He had the most interesting stories, but he sounded like a fucking monotone robot that had been banged up the ass. And he was just like, oh, yes, hello. And it was no one gave a fuck. No one listened. And equally, I met another guy who I coached in London who didn't know what the fuck he was doing, but he was his voice quality was so on point, very engaging, very charismatic, varied his voice tone. So that makes up 38% of the communication, let's say. And then 7 to 15% is actually the words you use. So guys are always thinking, well, what's the next line? It's not about that. It's about sorting out those fucking fundamentals.
Yeah, I mean, for sure. So, okay, so you got the opener, the conversation started. What the fuck do you say next? The question a lot of guys have. So this is the way I break this down.
Right.
I think there's 3 forms of communication. There's I, which is what most people do, is they talk about themselves.
Right.
College, blah, blah, blah. I do this for work, blah, blah, blah. Don't do that. Second type is you. So you're asking, like, so what do you do? Like, what, where are you from? Right? Which is a lot better than I, but there's also a third category that's even better, which is we, where you're talking about you guys as a unit. So I'll do a lot of that. Like, I'll be like people probably think we're just like a newly married couple. Us look at us the way you're saying. Like, again, if it's contextual. So I mainly focus on you and we communication. Like, after a day game set, if the police were to go up to a girl and be like, this guy's a most wanted fugitive, what did he tell you? She wouldn't really be able to tell anything about me because I actually didn't really talk about myself at all. Like, if she asked me questions, I'll obviously answer, but I'm not ranting about myself at all. So she'll be like, I don't know. He was just cracking a lot of jokes. All right. So focus on you and we communication. That's right. That's going to make you stand out because, again, most guys, what they're doing, and on dates as well, they're just I do this. They're trying to qualify. They're trying to DHV, whatever, right? If you just focus on you and we, you're going to stand out.
Yeah, I agree with that.
Second thing I'm doing is I'm teasing the girl a lot and I'm cracking a lot of jokes. I keep it very fun, lighthearted. Like, that's the vibe I want to have. I want to have a sexual undertone, but it's very fun and lighthearted. Like, in no way does the girl feel like this is serious. Like, I want this to be a distraction. I want this to be the highlight of her day. Like, I don't want her to be like, after the approach, like, yeah, it's just like, it was so boring. But no, I want her to be like, wow, that was so fun. Like I like it when random people come up to me. It's so fun. That's the vibe I want to give off. So
I think that's just to interact there. I think going back to the original question, stuff that guys need to work on: playfulness, fucking playfulness. Women respond to that. Teasy, flirty, banter. You should be doing this with everyone, practicing it with everyone, not just when you go out for day game session. It should be the whole fucking time, having fun, having a blast. And I completely agree. Women are going to hook into that energy. So guys are far too logical. They're far too serious. They need to work on being more playful. So Russell Brand. And he's probably got the best game of I mean, he's got obviously the celebrity status thing going on, but that guy's game is fucking. There was this interview he did, like Morning Joe or something, where he just.
I know exactly which one you're talking about. I did a video breakdown on my channel of that.
Nice, yeah, man. That's. I mean, that his game is on point. His flirt, his teases, banter, his social control. Fuck me, he's like, if guys want to practice that stuff, there's another guy called Craig Ferguson, Scottish dude.
Yeah.
He's quite good as well, different kind of style. But yeah, if they want to learn how to flirt, how to tease, how to banter, that is the stuff they should be watching.
100% agreed on that. Yeah, that guy. I mean, like that Morning Joe interview, like the way, because it was a hostile environment, like initially, and the way he was able to turn it around, and the way he was able to, like that male guy, like whatever the male co-host who was trying to kind of rag on him, like, oh, I can't understand anything he's saying. Like the way he was able to turn it around, like, well, Brian, maybe you should not be listening to the radio while you drive. We don't want you crashing. Like the way he was able to just maneuver the situation, and within 10 minutes get the female host to literally want to fuck him, like really bad. Like you could just tell by the look on her eyes, like she was flustered, she was, blushing, like whatever. So yeah,
man, it was crazy. And the follow. What's interesting is that you can type in post Morning Joe post interview. Basically, like a day later, this male co-host talks a bit about Russell Brand, saying he ran into trouble with the tour, and the woman that he was basically wanting to bang him was like, "Oh, who's that?" And like completely changed. She's just the nature of women, right? In the moment, but then she's like, "Oh no, fuck this guy," pretending she didn't even know who he was. So 2 days later, yeah, it's crazy.
Yeah, but so to get back to the day game thing, so I think those are. I think guys are too logical. I think guys are trying to be too fancy. I think guys talk about themselves way too much. And I also agree, don't do the and also slow it down. Like slow down.
Slow down, build that tension. I think with the with the London day game model that I teach, and I've assimilated from these other guys. I didn't invent it; it was them. The focus is very much the girl for the first few minutes. Teasing, banter, Cole kind of just putting out statements, having fun with her. She's kind of like giving you information, pivoting on that. Once you reach that hook point, it's kind of a bit more of a back to forth, and we call it investment. So you can share information about yourself, but you still want to mostly focus on her, and then you're kind of sprinkling in some like kind of cool tidbits about you wrapped up in teases. So like I'd say, they might say, "What do you do for a job?" And I was like, "Well, I used to be a job." I say, "Have you seen the movie Wolf of Wall Street?" And then she's like, "Yeah." And I'm like, "Well, a little bit less cocaine, a little bit more women. That was my job." She's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I used to be a broker." So she remembers it because you're wrapping up in playfulness, and then also where I was born. Like she's like,
"I used to be the midget."
Yeah, I used to be thrown against the room. She's like, "Where are you born?" I'm like, from the land of the holy chopstick. And she's like, "What?" And I'm like, "Yeah, I was born in Hong Kong, but I'm English." So she goes home remembering those little facts you've given her. So when she's talking to her friends, she's actually like, she knows you. It's not about, I think it's Nick Krauser who said it. It's a brilliant fucking thing to say. It's not about how attracted she was to you in the moment. It's about how invested she was afterwards. How much work did you actually make her do? Most guys will just go up and talk at a girl, blah, blah, blah. They'll be the dancing clown thing. The girl goes away and goes, "I know nothing about that dude." She's not feeling invested. She hasn't done any work. Women want to work for it. It's that whole cliche thing of give the girl the gift of chasing. It's true. Once you hit that hook point, done the attraction, it's right. Let's qualify. Let's make her work for this. Let's make her fucking earn it. And that's what women like.
Right. Yeah, I mean, very true. I think another component is, like kind of like you said, like you should not be doing, initially you might do more of the talking, but there should come to a point where she's asking you more questions than you're asking her. Another key part of my day game is pretty quickly, I try to gauge whether she has any time constraints. Like, does she have to run right now? Is she late for a meeting, or does she have a lot of time? So that will kind of dictate to me how much time I have, right?
Do you try and go instant date then?
No, so I'm not a big believer of instant dates at all. I think they're largely a waste of time. I think they have some advantages. I think the advantage of the instant date is if you're trying to go for the same day lay because she has good logistics and she's giving you a lot of ROIs, but going straight to your place might be too much, then the instant date is a good way to go. However,
or you're in a crazy party environment. So I love to run boot camps in Rio Carnival. Oktoberfest in Blumenau, second biggest carnival in the world, second biggest like Oktoberfest in the world in the Brazilian jungle. Dare the Dead in Oaxaca. That's absolutely flaky environment. Or if I've gamed at Coachella before, I've run boot camps there, and you have to go instant date there if you can, or at least arrange to meet later. But try and go there and then in the moment, because there's so many other distractions.
Right. I mean, yeah, that's true. But like, given those exceptions aside, generally, I'm not a fan because I think that, okay, let's say you have an hour, right? An hour, lunch, whatever. And you can go and you can, the first girl you talk to, you can get her for an Insta date. Let's say that normally you can get 1 out of 3 girls that you approach with day game numbers to meet up with you.
Right.
With an Insta date, you might take that up to 50%, right? But during that time, you could have gone 4 other numbers, and overall,
I agree, man. It's about time efficiency, and I completely agree. If the girl is saying to me in conversation, right, I'm leaving tomorrow, or if I just can tell she's on and my logistics are good, I'm like, bang, let's go. But otherwise, I agree. I think it's all about just take the number. And then going back to stats, which I mentioned earlier. So guys who are watching this, who are like, am I good at day game? Stats for me are 1 in 3. Normal countries. We're not talking like a white guy in Thailand who can bang like 5 chicks a day. We're talking about like normal country, like you go to Russia, you go to Poland, you go to Serbia, you go to Brazil. 1 in 3 approaches a number. 10 numbers. You're looking at probably 2 dates, possibly 3 if you know what you're doing would be good, and then maybe sleep with 75% of the girls on the day. So running game, which is approaching women who are better looking than you, right, and like younger or whatever, you're looking at least probably 20, 25 approaches results in you hot girl in your bed. Those are good stats.
I mean, that's pretty much my stats as well. I definitely agree with that.
Those are stats, yeah.
Pretty much. But so I want to finish this. So the last part is the closing. So this is another area where a lot of guys fuck up. What I do, I don't like the gimmicky, salesy closes. Like, cool, put your number in here. I'm like, Lou, you're like, I don't know, like trying to like bull past the close. Like this is the way I close. I'd be like, cool. You and I should grab a drink. Let's grab a drink sometime. I wait for her to say yes. I'm not like, let's grab a drink sometime. Give me your number, right? Like
That's so key because you get that buy-in and there's that crackle in the eye contact, and it's a miniature test where she tests you and she just is like searching your soul to see is this guy full of shit? Is he a pussy? And you have to balls that bit out, and then she's like, okay, and it's like that moment. But yeah, if you break that moment, you fucking lose.
100%. Yeah, 100%. Don't do the sales gimmicky closes. Just like let's grab a drink sometime. And the closes I'm doing always are grab a drink. It's not like weird activity dates. It's always grab a drink, right?
Yeah. Fuck the activity dates.
Get the girl to buy, and I say, cool. I give her my phone. I say, put your number in. The reason I do that is, first of all, it's a little bit more buy-in. But second of all, sometimes I've had in the past where I would spell the number wrong, especially if there's a little bit of a language barrier. And then so I want to have her put the number in my phone, type it in. Right. And sometimes it also can be a source of banter because they'll save themselves. I'll be like, so she'll type the number and I'll be like, save your name. I'll go contact, save your name. She'll write in like Anna, whatever. And I'll be like, Anna Mexicana Linda. Right. Like, so it'll be like, ha, 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 oh, gringo. So that's another thing. So here's the mistake guys make here. Do not fucking do the Snapchat, Instagram closes. You can do Instagram in addition to the phone number. But when you meet a girl from Daygame, do not go for the Instagram. Do not go for the Snapchat. They're safer, but very inefficient. Do not do that.
I agree. Completely agree. For me, it's WhatsApp. And what I usually get to do actually is a variation on what you said, which is actually take the girl's phone, put my number in, bring myself up on save myself as like James Bond, like some stupid like Dick 007, and then send a message saying, oh, hey, sexy James Bond from her phone to my phone. She sees it and she starts laughing. So that's something you can do. And often guys, especially American guys I meet, they're fucking clueless with WhatsApp and stuff. They fuck up so many numbers just not knowing how to use WhatsApp. Yeah. Especially when they're on tour, they don't have data, they have issues. So I'm like, just take the fucking girl's phone and send yourself a message. Get the ball rolling.
Right. Do you have anything to add to this? Like basically this my day game premise, like any like additions to this or anything I'm missing?
On what you do, I mean, I've never seen you day game, so I don't know. I mean, I'd obviously be able to give you feedback on what you were doing, but
just like on the general approach.
No, I mean, I think it's you sound like you know what you're doing. I mean, the main components you're talking about are you're leading, you're teasing, you're bantering, You're not talking about yourself, which is a big mistake guys make. I'd say it's pretty on point, man. Again, like I very much teach guys that structure of the London day game model. So there's many ways to skin a cat, proverbially, and what you sound like you're doing is not too dissimilar. It sounds fairly on point.
A big hack I actually discovered quite recently to improve your day game success is to do your day game in the evening, like 8 p.m. when chicks are like either getting back from dinner or they're going to bars because they have more time and they're more in that social mood. So I'll take my dog for a walk at 8, 9 p.m. and like my success rate will be higher than if I was to go out at 3 p.m. So it's just like one thing I discovered quite recently.
That's good, yeah. And I think guys can get, instead of just walking around random areas like with day game, hoping for the best, be a bit more switched on. Like pick environments that you're going to meet girls you like. Like I'm quite into my fitness, right? I box, played rugby for a number of years. I go to the gym, and so I will deliberately moonlight. Like I'm in Oaxaca right now, right? So I'm going to jump between 2 or 3 different gyms just on a trial period for a day. Go in, basically do my workout, but burn the gym down with approaching, and then move to another place. So have a think about like the type of women you're actually attracted to. What are the environments they're going to be hanging out in? If you're into kind of like girls that like maybe when they're more interested, they're like history, they're like, you're right, going to gaming museums, like figure out like the peak times and the best places to actually go and do your game. It can be very targeted, and on a larger level than that, I get so many emails from guys whining about, oh James, my small town in fucking London, there's no hot chicks. I'm like, get on a fucking plane, you fucking pussy. If you like Russian girls, fly to fucking Moscow. If you like blonde hair, blue eyes girl, go to Helsinki. If you like Brazilian chicks, fly to there. Game in places where you actually find the women attractive. I mean, it's just so many easy, controllable things that guys just don't seem to realize with this stuff. They just walk out there, their house on a rainy Monday morning, hoping for less. That's a terribly ineffective way of doing this stuff.
Yeah, I mean, it's even worse in America. Like most Americans don't have a passport.
I know. It's like a third of Americans, right, or something like that.
I thought it was more than half, to be honest.
Really? Fuck me. I guess you guys have got like everything there, though, in terms of like you've got Alaska, you've got San Diego, you've got kind of all the different.
Most Americans don't even fucking travel around America. Like they just stay.
Really? That's sad, man. That's
like
sad.
If you go to cities like Miami, New York, like it's pretty universal travel. But like in the small towns, dude, people have been in that small town. They're not leaving that small town. That's all they know. So it's unfortunate. Before we jump into the questions, I do want to ask you this question since it kind of came up. What's your strategy for gym approaches or meeting girls at the gym?
So I actually did a video about this. There's many different kind of, things to troubleshoot. It's like, is she the receptionist? Is it a gym that you go to frequently? Is it a gym you're just moonlighting in for one day? I guess most men, it's going to be a gym, and it's going to be either a staff member or a girl who's there in the gym, and it's the same gym they go back to, right? So it's that whole policy. You don't want to fucking shit where you eat and fuck shit up too bad because you don't want it to get awkward. Usually what I just say is I say to the guys, just go up and just say, hey, I've seen you around a few times. I just wanted to say hi, and just be very tuned into how she responds, because she's either going to light up and you can say, okay, she wants to have this conversation, or she's going to be like, oh, hey, nice to meet you, and just away. And that is what I do. And then from that point on, I just have a chat with her, just be like, look, I know this is stupid. Probably going to get, call out the elephant, then I call out the shit. Like, it's going to get super awkward. Like, we're probably going to get married, then divorced, still be at the same gym. But look, just do you fancy coffee sometime? And just ask her then and there. And if she's keen, go for it. If not, don't. That'd be my strategy. I mean, there's so many nuances on it. I'd encourage guys to go and look on my channel and just type in James Tusk gym approach, because I did a 30-minute video covering every single different base. But essentially, you have to go more indirect. If you're ever kind of going that policy of potentially shitting where you eat, where you go to a certain place at the same time, or your workplace or the gym, you have to be more calibrated. You have to be more delicate. You just have to test the water. And I would always say, is it really worth it? Is it really worth fucking up an environment where you have to go back to? Yeah, you could probably bang the girl, or maybe she rejects you and you can still go to the gym. It's not an issue. But it's just like, do you need to be doing that? Why not just go and do a trial session in like 5 different gyms, get on the chicks there and know that you're never going back there and it's fine?
Right. No, I definitely agree with that. The one thing I will add to that is the timing. So don't approach a girl when she's mid-set.
No.
Like, you want to approach her ideally after she's done with her workout or before she starts.
I like it when they walk out the gym. That's my favorite time. Yeah. So I'm kind of got my eye in. I'm like, right, that's the best time. Right, bang, and I sprint out. I'm like, look, this is fucking ridiculous. But
I don't approach her when she's mid-set. Like, even if you have good game, like, because all the whole time she's thinking like, okay, 30 seconds, 20 seconds, I got to get back to my mid-set. So you're playing against the clock. So that's a good point. Big observation. All right, let's jump into some questions because we have a lot building up. My 2 legends of the pickup.
That's nice of Mr. Risco. I will have a shot of mezcal for you, Mr. Risco, from Oaxaca.
we got a lot of compliments. Daygame and text game, the best combo.
This is nice of him. Also, if you've got any like abusive comments, Alex, obviously throw them at me. Abusive questions. I like the controversy. I'm sure you do in there. So,
man, honestly, like I like this about the PWF fans. It's mostly people who are very supportive. I really don't get that much hate at all. Like it's mostly people who are supportive and they want to see more content. And,
that's great,
cool.
Man.
I think a lot of the guys, they're like, you know what? If Alex brings this guest on, then that means they have some value to add. So I'm gonna listen to what they have to say.
That is.
Okay, so let's get into some actual questions. Do you have any Valentine's Day experiences with girls you've hung out worth noting, or do you avoid meeting girls around the date? That's a
really good point. My favorite Valentine's Day is obviously a month later on exactly the same day, called Male Valentine's Day, which is Steak and Blowjob Day. So I'd say that is you never heard of that?
No.
March 14th, man. Directly a month after Valentine's Day. It's called Male Valentine's Day, and it's perfect.
Well, is this a British thing or what?
No, Google it. It's like this big thing on the internet, man.
Really?
I always line up girls and I make them aware of it a few weeks before that I'm seeing. I'm like, right, I want my steak like this. I want my fucking my blowjob like that. I'll line up like 3 or 4 girls and just fucking go to town. It's fucking amazing.
Fucking value drop. I did not know about this, but I'm definitely going
Yeah. Check that shit out afterwards.
Take this to
blowjob day. Do you have any Valentine's Days experience with girls you've hung out with? Noting. So typically, unless I'm really into the girl, I won't spend Valentine's Day with her because I think there's a whole cliche pressure thing around it. What I will do if I do see her is do some cool shit. I will arrange a day. Like I'll probably start off like take her for some cool food, like I know she likes, and then I'll probably take her back and basically tie her up and have some very, very, very hardcore sex with her. And then I learned this from Nick Krauser. There's these series of books called Mr. Men books. They're like these little story books. So I'll usually read her one of those as well. And it's like you can get this Little Miss versions. So I'll be like Little Miss Princess, and I'll just read the story to her after I bang the fuck out of her. And it's polarizing between that raw fucking animalistic sex and then just chilling out. And she almost turns into a little girl, and she's there sucking her thumb. I'm reading the story, and she goes to sleep. They love it. So that would be the routine I'd recommend.
Yeah, personally for me on Valentine's Day, I'll hit Tinder, and if I don't get anything on Tinder, I'll go to a bar because there's going to be a lot of horny girls who.
Yeah, man, completely.
I'll run a boost on Tinder, and if that doesn't work out, which usually will, then I'll just go to a bar. Or you're right. I won't take a girl unless it's a girl who I'm seeing. I won't hang out with a new girl. I probably won't. I mean, I might, but yeah, I do think that can kind of send the wrong message. If it's a girl you're trying to keep things casual with, and you ask her on Valentine's Day. All right, so guys, what is a good starting point for online dating? Fortunately, we have so many videos on this, so just check out some of the content on this channel.
Yeah, I'd say obviously that's one for Alex who answered, not for me. Alex is the pro with this. The one time I would say I used Tinder, actually, going back to your earlier question, Alex, was pipelining dates. So what I would suggest to guys is put passport to a foreign country, swipe through, line up some dates just to get that momentum rolling when you get in. And also the worst case scenario is even if the girl's not all that hot, you can find out all the information about good restaurants, good bars. Use it as a fact-finding mission. If the girl's not that hot, just where do people hang out?
Yeah. How many days ahead of time will you start pipelining?
I usually about 4 or 5.
Yeah, I agree.
And I'll have the dates set up for when I arrive.
I think 4 or 5 is good. Some guys advocate weeks, but I think that's too much because
it's also fucking boring. It's like, why are you speaking to this chick you haven't even fucking met for weeks on end online? Fuck that shit.
Yeah, it's funny. When I travel to Colombia and I pipeline, I'll sometimes I'll be straight up. I'll be like, yeah, I'm flying in 3 days, and the girl will be like,
cool. You can prep them. Yeah.
But then I'll make a joke. I'll be like, so where's something cute when you pick me up from the airport? And then the girl, but then some of the girls would be like, okay, what time does your flight get in? They're actually down to pick me up. I'm like, it's cool. You don't have to pick me up.
Did they actually pick you up?
I've never taken I've had multiple girls actually take me seriously and offer to pick me up. I've never taken.
That'd be amazing. Talk about an investment from her, right?
No, true. But just the thing is that when I get off a long flight, I'm sweaty, I'm tired. I want to go to the Airbnb. I want to eat. I want to relax before I do shit with a girl. So yeah, it's very easy to do it. It just blows my mind because if some chick was flying into Miami, like I would not be offering to pick her up. Like it's hard enough for my close friends to get me to pick them up, but like
is that where you're based at the moment, Miami?
Yeah. I've lived in Miami for.
Nice, man. We'll definitely hang out for a beer when I go there in September. I'm running a boot camp in September in Miami, so it'd be cool to catch up.
Yeah, definitely, man, definitely. All right, what else we got? Hey, man, this technique, just ask questions from the 40-year-old virgin, actually work?
I have seen the movie, but I don't know specifically what it means.
I think the technique is basically just ask the girl a bunch of questions, like just ask about her. And
yeah, I mean, women do love talking about themselves. I would say in that first part of the day-in conversation, you're really focusing the conversation about her because women, you know, the world does revolve around a woman. She thinks, you know, the universe revolves around her. So it's always a good thing to do. But I think you've got to provide some value as well. I mean, look at Russell Brand. How often is he really talking about the girl? He's just fucking entertaining, and women just like, oh my god, this fucking value this guy's giving out. So I think it's a balance. There's a balance to that.
Yeah, I don't think it's the worst technique, but there's definitely way better ones. And the one I recommend is ask questions and then riff on what she says. So don't just be asking questions back to back. You ask like, hey, where are you from originally? I like that you have a cute accent. Oh, I'm from Argentina. Like, don't be like, cool, so what do you do for work, right? I would riff on the Argentina part, like,
stay on topic, active listening, pivot, and then provide value. And then
Argentinian chicks are my favorite. She's like, really? I'd be like, yeah, like, I used to be married to Argentinian girls. She's like, what, really? I'm like, no, I'm just kidding. But like, you know, you guys
they are hot though, man. They do their steak, their cocaine, and their women very, very well.
And their steaks, apparently.
Their steaks are amazing.
How much is a boot camp with James?
It varies, but usually about 2,600 US for 4 days. 4 hours of coaching a day, all in field. We give you the theory as we go. Thursday, Friday, Saturday, Sunday. Boot camps all over the world. The ones upcoming are Rio, Playa del Carmen, Turkey. I'll be in Turkey running boot camps there. I'm going to be in Greece. I'm going to be in Georgia. I'm going to be in Ukraine. I'm going to be in Russia. I'm going to be in Serbia, Poland.
You're going to be in Georgia?
Georgia, but two places. Tbilisi, the capital, which is fucking popping. It's basically like Minsk was 3 years ago, so it's fucking virgin territory.
What is Minsk like now? Because that's where I was born. I was born in Minsk, so I'm curious.
Minsk is the problem with what I have now is like when I talk about place a lot, people tend to go there and ruin it. Minsk is quite a sort of splitty for day game, so it's not a good day game spot. But yeah, it's good for night game. But Georgia, yeah, Tbilisi in May, the capital, which will be cool, and then Batumi Beach, which is basically the Georgian Ibiza. No one knows about it. I'll be the only fucking foreign dude there. It's a bit like if you go to Sochi, right? No fucking foreigners, right? It's all fucking Russians.
Right. But is Georgia a bit sketchy or no?
No. The only trouble I've ever had traveling around has been Colombia. When I was in a really bad part of the town, Bogota called Santa Fe, outside the red light district. Started talking to this chick in the bar. This dude comes up and in broken English was like, man, do not speak to that chick. She's she's with a bad dude. And at that point, like, this guy comes in from the side I hadn't seen, takes a gun out, puts it to my head and pulls the trigger. And it doesn't fucking work. The gun doesn't, I don't know whether it's a fake gun. I don't know whether it's jammed. And I was like, right, that's my cue to leave. Walk out, went back to my hotel.
Wait, holy fucking shit. Let's break this down a little bit. This is a fucking crazy story. So the bad guy comes up to you and puts a gun to your head.
And pulls the fucking trigger. Nothing happens. I don't know whether it was like some prank or whether the gun was fake or whether it was, I mean, it looked legit, like from what I remember. And I was like, fuck, right, this is my cue to leave. So I walked out and then fucking sprinted to my fucking hotel.
Holy shit.
Man, it was crazy. And then woke up at like 5 a.m. like, what the fuck was this? And that's the only time. The only other trouble I've had is in Brazil. My friend, a coach, was fucked up on cocaine. He didn't pay he had a dance. He didn't pay for it and he left. He was fucked. And the guy came up to me and was like, you owe us $50 US or something like that. And I was like, no, I don't. It's his bill. It's not mine. He was like, you fucking pay. And I was like, no. And then he went behind the bar. I thought he was going to get out like a phone to call somebody. He got out fucking machete and just fucking ran towards me. And I fucking had to sprint out. It was in Copacabana, sprinted out of there, jumped in a taxi and fucking left.
Well,
those are the only two run-ins I've ever had. I've traveled to some really weird, fucked up places and been in some pretty. I've got a self-destructive streak to me, which is part of me is like wanting to watch the world burn and put myself in stupid situations. And those are the only two times I've actually feared for my life. The rest of the time, like, it's been okay.
The machete guy, do you think he was trying to kill you or he was just trying to scare you?
I think he was trying to hit me with a machete, and God knows whether that means my head falls off like ISIS style or whether that means I get a cut in my back. I don't know. But he looked fucking, he was going for me. And it was a sketchy fucking strip club. I don't think they would have cared about a dead gringo. personally. Copacabana now, I know everyone thinks when you go to Rio, you go to Copacabana. You fucking don't. Copacabana now is a fucking shithole. Don't stay in Ipanema. It's the gay area. Stay in Leblon. It's kind of like the high end, like fucking nice, safe part of Rio.
Dude, that's fucking nuts. The only sketchy experience I ever had was when I was in Bogota, actually. And I was, me and my buddy were walking. We were
Bogota
just
again. Bogota again.
Yeah, that was the only place I ever had a sketchy experience. Me and my buddy, it was like 3 a.m., but we were staying in a good part. We were staying in Zona Rosa. And we were trying to get some water because, we ran out. And these two guys, and I could just tell by their body language was something was off. They basically came up to us. One of them had like a big ass machete, and he was like, give me your money. And I was like, right away, I was like, sure, no problem. Here you go. Here's I find the one weird thing I've discovered about myself is that like under extreme circumstances, I'm actually more calm than I am in real life. Like I have this weird survival instinct that just takes over.
Slowing down like the Matrix, you see it all in like slow.
I just become very calm and very like I don't freak out, I guess. I don't know. So anyway, so I'm like, sure, no problem, man. Here you go again, $40. And he was like, thank you. Put his hands up and they walked away. It was like super easy. But then anyway, so that was like fucked up. But then afterwards, my buddy who I was with, he's like, oh, why'd you give him the money? I was just about to punch him. I was like, dude, do not fucking punch the guy with the machete. I'd rather pay $40 than risk my fucking life.
Fucking not worth it, man. It's just
I'm not getting stabbed over $40 like it's gonna be like
always
over like I don't know a hot piece of ass, but not over $40.
Always better to walk away. Give me 1 sec, Alex. I just got to see what this guy wants.
I'll take a few questions while James is using the bathroom. How are Scandinavian girls? Are they easier or harder compared to other Western countries? So I've been to Finland. I've never been to Sweden or Norway, but I will say that chicks in Finland, on average, are way more sex positive, so they are easier. I do think significantly again because sex is really not a big deal there. They really don't have that like kind of. If they like you, they will fuck you. It's really as simple as that. All right. What else we got? James, what if I'm in a second-tier city in Ohio and no one is ever outside walking around, even if there's no one person is wearing a mask? So we've addressed this. Just move, get the fuck out of the second-tier city.
Get on a fucking plane. We live in an amazing time in the world where you can be anywhere in the world within 24 hours or 12 hours, right? Places that are open now you can go to are Miami. You could go there.
Yeah, you can go. Miami's wide open.
Miami's wide open. Where I am, Oaxaca is wide open. Playa del Carmen, Puerto Vallarta, Egypt, Dubai. If you want cold weather, Minsk, Belgrade, Kiev, they're all open. So just get on a fucking plane. Create your own circumstances. You can't just sit around like waiting for shit to happen. Get on a plane.
Yeah. I like direct game. How much direct can I be and not lose power? Some fundamentals. I don't think you lose power when you're direct. I don't know.
No, not at all.
I disagree with the premise. So you can be very direct without losing power. I think that the only downside to being too direct is that, it can be too much for the girl to handle that moment and you come off socially uncalibrated. But I don't think it makes you lose any kind of power at all.
If he likes direct game as well, I'd highly recommend he checks out these 60 Years of Challenge ebooks. If he sends me an email, info@jamestusk.com, I can send him, just include your WhatsApp number. I can send you the full PDFs for free.
Yeah, we'll link everything in the description. How are you able to stay active while with this pandemic again? Because we're both in places that aren't really like Miami doesn't give a shit about the pandemic. Like Miami's wide open, people are partying, like no one gives a shit. So I would just say live in a place where that is pretty open. I will say that when the whole thing started for the first few months, I was having a lot of girls that were sketched to meet up. I had to do a lot of Corona concern and objection handling, but that hasn't been the case for a while. I think everyone's getting really tired.
They're just bored of it. They're like, fuck this.
It's like, I'm probably not going to die unless I have a severe health condition. So, Okay. Let's take a few more questions, and then okay. Okay. Does he have a YouTube? Yes, he does. We're going to link in description.
Yeah, just search James Tusk on YouTube. It will come up.
We got some super chat. How do you ask your girl? How do I? Okay, listen. How do I present myself as a man after having a friendship with a girl? what's your
Um,
What's your take on that?
how do I present myself as a man after having a friendship with you? You mean how do you basically get out of the friend zone and have sex with them?
Yeah, basically, I think that's the premise.
Forget it and move on. It's quite hard to climb out of friend zones. The only way you can do it is start dating, actively dating loads of other hot women, and she gets jealous and she's like, "See you in a different light." But I just wouldn't bother. Find another girl. There's fucking 7 billion people.
Yeah, I agree with that. I agree with that. It's hard, and honestly, just don't let yourself get friend zoned in the first place.
Yeah, you put yourself in the friend zone. That's the thing. It's not her doing it; it's you doing it.
Yeah. How do you ask the girl you've been texting to link up or meet up? Hey, do you want to meet up? We should get together sometime soon. I mean, there's really nothing
Yeah,
crazy.
I usually say something like I give them two options. I'm like, let's grab a cocktail or let's grab a red wine. Is Tuesday evening or Thursday evening better for you? And just give them that kind of false. Just say right that when it's happening, which are you choosing? Give them an option.
Right. Opinion on New Zealand girls. I lived in New Zealand for 6 months. I think they're great. They're quite DTF. I think they did some study that found that New Zealand had the most DTF chicks. I don't know if I agree with this or not, but the study found that New Zealand chicks have the highest amount of sexual partners or something like that.
I think you were saying this, yeah. I mean, the Kiwi chicks I've met, there's been a few hot ones. I wouldn't say they're particularly high quality.
Yeah. Well, it depends on what your type is. For me, no, because I just like the big booty Latinas. But I think you and I are into like the same type of girl.
Apart from I like Russian girls, and you don't.
Yeah, that's true. Is Austin, Texas a good city? I actually lived there for 4 months. Yes, it's quite a good city, I would say. You ever been to Austin, James?
Mm-hmm.
What do you think?
Lo siento, I'm chewing a taco. I like it, man. I think the chicks are hot. I mean, I'm not massively into American chicks, but that kind of blonde hair, blue-eyed, perfect white teeth, cheerleader kind of ditzy thing is yeah. I mean, they're a lot of fun, right? It's a cool city. I've got a lot of time for it. I think the time to go is go around the festival. I think it's Austin city limits, isn't it? Because you get an influx of loads of people. There's a party atmosphere. People are just up having fun, and there's just more opportunity.
Right. Now let's take 2 more questions. So a girl asked me for Snap in the day and come up to me. We talk on Snap. I tease. She goes to me when I don't give her your Snap. Say I don't have Snap, but give me your number. Go for the number. Don't go for Snap.
Don't give her snaps. Don't give her snaps. And also, just to remember the flake rates. There's nothing wrong with you. Again, going back to the thing that you probably just don't speak to enough girls. If I get 10 numbers, I'm still only expecting 2 dates from that. So girls will either just not reply or they'll start replying and give you false positives. And then when you go for a date request, just move away. So don't get too caught up in this one girl.
That's true, yeah. But also, yeah, just you can minimize it by not doing Snap.
Also, love his name, Muffins.
Muffins. Sounds like Butters from South Park. Phoenix, Arizona for game. I lived
there. Yeah, not
Good
Phoenix, but Scottsdale for me.
Scottsdale,
love Scottsdale, man. So many hot girls. It's renowned as like one of the best looking colleges, isn't it? And you've also, if you're into your MILFs, highest rate of plastic surgery in America. It's absolutely stunning MILFs walking around. But yeah, it's cool. I don't know about Phoenix itself, but Scottsdale.
Well, Scottsdale is in Phoenix, or it's like a part of Phoenix.
Part of Phoenix, okay.
Yeah. It's just a section of Phoenix. But yeah, like if I was to live in Phoenix, I would probably live in Scottsdale.
Scottsdale, yeah, for sure.
Okay, so we'll take this question. Key mindsets when cold approaching.
I mean, pretty much what we've covered, really, which is just go out and speak to girls you find attractive and do it at least 20 times a week, every fucking week, until you're in a position where you're dating 2 or 3 really hot girls or whatever your goal is. But mindsets for me, my first thing is like, I'm going to basically like, I get it on autopilot. So I want to approach within a second of seeing her. If that fails, then in my mind, I picture her naked because I'm doing it from a position of horniness. So I'm like thinking, right, fuck, this is why I'm doing it. I'm not here for validation. I'm here because I think she's fucking hot and I'd love to see her fucking naked riding me. And if I still haven't approached then, the next thing I flick to in my brain would be, we're going to die. So who the fuck cares?
I want to touch on what you said. So actually, this is something I wrote about this a while ago. I don't do this anymore, but when I was kind of getting into gaming, I was still like, a little choppy or whatever.
Right.
This was my ritual when I had a date, especially if it was a girl who I thought was like, out of my league or whatever. This was my ritual. One, right. I would take a cold shower, and in the cold shower, I'd visualize myself fucking that girl. And
nice.
I would not let myself leave the cold shower until I got the boner. And you have to really fucking visualize this shit. to get a boner in a cold shower. So you have to really that forces you to really visualize this in your head. The second thing I would do is right before the date, I would watch a porno with, not jerk off, obviously, but watch a porno with a chick that looks very similar to her.
Right.
So I had that in my mind. So going into the date, I already visualized me fucking her. So that's something that worked quite well for me. I knew that when I did that, it would close a lot more, higher percentage of girls.
I think going out and it's just basic stuff like have a condom in your pocket reminds you why you're out to do day game. It's to get laid. It's not for validation.
Right.
I was never doing this to align my chakras or whatever. I was doing it because I like the fear and I wanted to be more sociable, but I wanted to get fucking laid. I wanted to bang the hottest girls I could fucking get. This was why I was doing it.
Which is the reason you're doing this. I think that you gotta be real with this shit. Well, I'm gonna take this one last question. You're Alex. I'm going to be visiting Miami. Any good day game areas you recommend? Very simple. Brickell, Wynwood.
Yeah, I've heard about that.
Lincoln Road Mall in South Beach. Those three areas will have more than enough girls. You don't need to go anywhere else. Between those three, you're going to be well set. All right, guys, we've gone for almost 2 hours. So, James, if people want to follow your content, they want to take one of your boot camps, how can they go about contacting and finding you?
Send me an email, info@jamestusk.com. Search me on YouTube, James Tusk. That's all there is to it, really. I put out loads of free day game related content, me demoing what I'm doing, going on dates, stuff like that. But yeah, get in touch. And what the process would be, we hop on a WhatsApp call, figure out where you're at, where you want to go, what's stopping you getting there, what are the blocks in the way and how I can help you solve them. And the typical way would be either come and do an online program, the 10-week approach accelerator, which gets you up to doing 30 approaches a week, taking 4 to 5 hours, generating you 2-3 new dates a week. If you don't want to travel, do that. You can do it where you are. Or come and meet me somewhere out in the world where you find the women fucking attractive. That could be anything. I run boot camps all over the globe, and I can send you that schedule. So info@jamestusk.com. Just drop me an email, and we can figure it out.
Word. All right, guys. We're gonna, if you're watching this not live, you're watching this as a repeat, we're gonna have all the links in the description. Make sure you guys also subscribe to James' channel, subscribe to my channel. We have awesome videos coming up this week. We have a video being released tomorrow. We have an interview with Trip Advice coming out next week. We're going to also bring some more porn stars on. So a lot of good stuff that you guys don't want to miss out on. All right, guys. Till next time.